Good morning and welcome to Business Morning here on Business Day Television. It's Thursday, July 17th, 2025. I am Destiny Momo.
And I'm Deborah Eze. Thank you for starting your day with us as usual, where we bring you the latest insights shaping Nigeria's business landscape and bringing analytical answers to the questions around the world of business and the economy. Let's move to the first conversation for today. We turn our attention to a growing concern that could have long-term consequences for Nigeria's economic development: the borrowing habit of micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs. A leading credit expert has issued a stark warning. Poor financial discipline and unsustainable borrowing practices are undermining the very growth potential that MSMEs are meant to unlock. With over 39 million MSMEs contributing nearly half of Nigeria's GDP, their financial health is a key pillar of our national economy. Yet, many are grappling with high interest loans, misaligned credit strategies, and a lack of financial literacy, of all of which threaten their sustainability and scalability. Joining us this morning to unpack the risk, explore solutions, and offer guidance for MSMEs looking to grow without is Professor Ojo Emmanuel Ademola. He is the first Nigerian professor for cybersecurity and information management.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time. All right, let's go straight into it. What are the most common poor borrowing habits you see among MSMEs today?
Very good question. That question is telling us understanding the problems. That is, when you take loan, you are MS, whatever, you take loan with intention of not having plan to pay back. Some of them are just there by name. Take loan without clear repayment plans, using short-term credit for long-term investments, missing personal and business finances together, ignoring interest rate, hidden charges, failing to build credit history or maintain financial records. All these combine together to form what we call poor habit. That is, not doing research enough, not preparing enough, not understanding the context of what loan is all meant. All this is what we call a poor habit around this subject matter. Thank you.
Habits persist despite awareness of financial literacy.
That's what I've just elaborated there.
Oh, wow.
That when you don't prepare for it, you don't want to know what is financial literacy. You don't want to understand when there's no financial literacy or sufficient, robustly crafted financial literacy, either by the financial institution or by the individual. The financial literacy must be very robust, bringing the problem down to the users and helping them to understand that, no, listen, this loan, is it a long-term credit or short-term credit? If you are micro, in this context, it's supposed to be short-term credit. And you need to continually embed within your financial literacy package what we call an innovation, so that your mission or whatever you want to do, your objective, should be highly innovated. Within every 6 months, you innovate your objectives for the business. And that will help you to avoid all these poor kind of understanding what you need to do. Is linked to the financial literacy as well, needs to link to seeing MS, MES, whatever, as a destiny. If you manage it wrongly, you are eroding destiny. If you manage it positively, you are doing what is right to create jobs, to help other people doing what they're supposed to do, and to do it robustly. I can assure you, as the African first professor to be a charter manager, financial literacy in this context is not Western luxury. It is even African necessity, which we need to concentrate on and be a mover, a builder of legacy, not just a user of it. So it's all bands. That's what I've enumerated, that in a nutshell, we need robust financial literacy along that line. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Prof. For the sake of our viewers, we're trying to educate them. That's the purpose of this program. So, do you think MSMEs are taking too many short-term loans to solve long-term problems? Do you think that's one of the issues?
I won't give just a blank check response to that. An individual who is in that field, the micro, small, and medium enterprises, must directly understand the impact of that loan on growth potential. If you don't have that awareness, then you'll be running the risk of taking a loan without plan and run this poor mindset on what this business is all about. For example, when you have a limited access to future financing due to poor financial reputation, most of them getting the loan, the reputation is not there in the first instance. The credit history is not robust. It has nothing to talk about. So taking short loan, you must have, that what I'm saying, a very innovative objective for taking the loan by following. You understand, before you get into even the micro side of things, you must be building your credit. For example, when we are talking about building credit, somebody who has never taken loan before cannot say it's building credit. So you must have taken loan for purpose of business, and you must have what we call footprint of being able to pay what you have taken over the months or over the year, depending on the conditions. And again, most of the small prints from the financial houses and does not encourage people on these micro, small, and medium enterprises. They put it at a small print, and they don't have financial literate individual or expert. At times, I usually say we might be misleading the MSME by using the word expert, because they just have to be literate. It is sufficient for you to be literate. You don't have to be expert in credit whatever before you can determine the amount of short-term loan you need in order to carry out an objective.
Oh, wow.
So we need to be very sure of that as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you've said it all, sir. But are traditional banks doing enough to actually educate or guide borrowers? Are they doing enough to guide borrowers?
I'm with you. It all bounces back to what is available within the financial sector. For example, in Nigeria, you say you have industrial bank, you have Bank of Agric or whatever. These are not specific enough. I know they are talking about microfinance that was very prolificating during some 22 decades ago, but they are no longer effective. By now, Nigeria should be talking about all-inclusive MSME finance houses. What am I saying? I'm saying that there should be, in each local government or the federation, there must be at least one financial house that will be available to MSME individual or organizations. It must be a kind of bottom-top approach. The finance houses, in other words, I'm saying that we should have bank concentrating on this MSME across the local government in Nigeria, for example. In addition to that, every commercial bank must have MSME session fully dedicated to the need of MSME in terms of literacy and in terms of appreciating what the sector is all about. Without that, we'll be lacking in what we call job creation, economic robustness, sustainability. If we can strengthen our MSME sector by backing them financially, then you are going strongly. You'll be competing globally, because that's the hub. That's the hub of all this. Instead of concentrating on oil. I'm not contending on that. Well, I'm just saying that we must bring job creation down to the local government. We must take advantage of the local government governance, devolving power to local government by looking at how can we create local government banks in charge. Each local government must come on with that idea, and the national legislations must come on with policy that each local government must have at least a bank, MSME bank, in their own locality, in their own local government, to take care of needs of their people. They know their people. They can easily access their data. They can easily analyze their data. Even in the age of AI, they can robustly guide them and educate them on how to take loan and become sufficiently literate on loan taking and what they should use the loan for. And this should be the working paradigm, and this should be the way we should go in this century. It's for generational blessing, creating job, making the economy robust, for economic development. Before you know it, everywhere, if you can take this simple approach, then Nigeria, we are ready for great things. And the same thing is applicable to all African countries, inclusive of the global South nations. So we no longer see financial literacy or robustly financing with outcome, positive outcome. The MSME, we no longer see as Western luxury, because what makes the West what the West is today is the that's what makes them.
Yeah.
That's what makes them. That's why you have the strong iyalojas, the strong babalojas, if you permit me to use that word. Everyone, it's a bottom-top approach. Let the government come on with policies and let them have banks, especially for MEMS, in every local government. I think in Nigeria we have 774 local government, I think so. All this, the local government must be able, financially robust enough, to set up something like that. Do the financial literacy, do the financial assessment for the MEMS people around you, and come on with a bank. By the time you vote around 2 billion into it, or after depending on the nature of the, it's a micro anyway, then it's not a big one. Then you begin to, even though government will begin to feed themselves, and they begin to create enough job, and they begin to sustain the business. Then we are talking about economic development and sustainability. Thank you
Right.
very much.
Yeah, you kept on mentioning local government having banks to be able to provide for these MSMEs. So what other reforms or what other tool would you recommend to help them to build healthier and grow better, grow their credit scores?
Yes, I've just, if you continue to analyze what I've just said, I've concentrated mostly on impact, on growth potential. It's a way of discouraging investor confidence and coming up with scalability. I've mentioned commercial bank as well, having dedicated kind of on that on a commercial note. And in fact, it's even possible for you to be an MEMS kind of initiative in the third sector. When I mean the third sector, whereby you give more room for volunteers in these areas, you just finance their day-to-day activities, and they begins to have more inroads into. I'm now speaking as a charter manager that the moment individual politicians, investors, and so on and so forth. I know of individual in Nigeria with their foundations. We must that's the area we also need to concentrate on. We must begin to have a kind of foundations, especially on this issue of credit and how to attack and help positively the MSMEs in the area of financial literacy and educating them robustly and how to get something. Making access to this short-term loan seamless. When you begin to have all this, what I can call nonsensical bureaucracy on accessing loans, you yourself, you start an MS whatever today, and ME whatever, you start today and you want to access something from Industrial Bank of Nigeria. You know what you go through. You have to know people. There was a time, I'm setting up the first University of Professional Study in Nigeria. I'm working on that. At a point, I was thinking of let me use my credit history in the system just to get some equipment, and they have to say all sort of unacceptable globally framework for MSME whatever. And I said, listen, just leave these people, forget these people, and our big people must come up with foundations that we also be imparting this. I know Lumelu or thereabout. I know what is the name, Dangote. All those big companies must also become responsible. Let them set up foundations. Within the foundations, let them begin to make all these short loan available, low interest rate. Okay, now why do you want to put interest rate of 13.something% on loan of 2 million, where the exchange rate is $1 to 1,500 naira? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? So individual must also come up with such initiative through their foundations. Those big companies, as part of their social corporate responsibility, must make all this small kind of credit available through their foundation, available to players in these MSMEs and so on. It's about imparting the growth of that's why I have to talk about bottom. I just use the local government kind of something that we should now begin to tap into the local government legislation, the federal government, the divorcing power more into the local government. That's why I use that one as an example. The commercial bank have role to play, individual investors have role to play, and just make the fund make the credit available to these people, monitor them, and let them see it as opportunity to be a player within this sector we are talking about.
All right,
Thank you
we've
very
been
much.
talking to Professor Ojo Emmanuel, and he's a cybersecurity expert. When we come back from the break, he's still with us to tell us more about accessibility of credits in business. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. We're still talking to Professor Ojo Emmanuel. Thank you for still staying with us. Now, let's move on to the other part of the conversation. Credit to your business. How do you think MSMEs can actually access this credit to their business, and from what source?
Okay, thank you very much. Good question. The first part, I was just laying the background for understanding the problem about poor mindset. Now, let's also now talk about assessing funding available and the sources. For example, in Nigeria, there are a lot of non-repayable, which you can call grants from the government in this sector. There are grants and programs that most of players in this sector, the MSMEs, are indeed ignorant of, maybe because of lack of sufficient financial literacy in that area. For example, they are not repayable, or they are low interest grants and loans to them. I know you have heard about the MSME. Is that of the central bank, the MSME? I think is a grant from central bank. It's either central bank is not doing enough awareness, the development funds by the central bank. They also talk about the creative industry financing. The creative industry financing initiative, the SIFI. You also have export expansion grant, the EEG. You have the cottage agro processing, the CAP fund, and then by the Bank of Industry. But the challenges that they could have is the bureaucracy and underlying corruption. When I'm talking about underlying corruption, that why can't you make this thing available? If you go to Bank of Industry website, do they have sufficient information there? Do you have to know somebody to access this fund? These are part of the things we must begin to look at. Making the instrument available to the user of the instrument. Yes, there are grants there. It's a lovely key development that they have those low interest rate. At times, some are even non-repayable. You also have what you call the digital financial platform. The digital financial platform. For example, people who are in entertainment, for example, they can do a kind of crowdfunding. If you are very vast about it, you can do a crowdfunding for them. People who are in funeral business, they can also do crowdfunding through the digital financing platform. Like we have the Akon microfinance launched by Akon Money. It's a digital platform. It's aimed at providing affordable credit to people in this field. And they claim that they have 37 million. I don't know how far they are saving to manage 37 million MSMEs. I don't know how far that is true, but that's what is on their website. The platform is designed to reach entrepreneurs in this field. You have a lot of credit guarantee schemes. For example, the National Credit Guarantee Scheme, the NGGC, we also have that one. Are we assessing them? They also look at, I think I was reading one about the risk lending to all these MS. And if you go to African regions, I normally check, I normally listen to BusinessDay and I usually write on your national dailies as well. When our own Dr. Additional was trying to enumerate the African-wide trend about digital lending platform like M-Copa, the public-private partnership, these are growing. They are growing, and they are very useful. They provide like regional initiative like the AFCC, EFTA. All these are available there that we must tap to that African continental free trade area. The as part of that, what I was talking about, robust financial literacy, and we must also have a kind of counseling surgeries for MSME, whereby all this information will be available to them. And that's why I was talking about local government. When you have a bank, bank is not supposed to lend money alone. Bank will also come with the education side of things and the security side of things. How do you assess this? Go to this system, look at the condition of this credit, and how long can you use it for. All those are services that should be provided by bank. You see, and if bank are not ready to do that, foundation should be doing that. Where we have MSME something facility, then we must put a kind of hub there on how to access this. Oh, this is available with Central Bank. This is available with Industrial Bank of Industry. This is available within the African context. When this all information are available, are very handy, then you escalate the process by helping them to package. You see, you must also understand the packaging of the credits. You see, asking for credit, you need to package it, the grant based on the conditions requested or condition highlighted within the framework of the grant, and which low risk. And as I've enumerated now, there are a lot of initiatives from the Central Bank, initiative from Industrial Bank, and which you can classify under government grant and programs. You also have all this credit. You see, people form themselves. The MSME form themselves into credit union, whereby the tap, at times you may find it difficult to go as individual. MSME, you can come together, form a cluster of MSME, then ask for the loan, and now come on with you have a lawyer in your team who can now help you to design what we call an agreement, how the loan or the grant you got together can now be distributed within the partners of the MSC. That leads me to what we call partnership. It's not about a public-private partnership alone that works. That's what we call intra partnership as well. You see, maybe you are SMME working in river states. Look for SMMC working in Abuja. Judicial partnership. You form a cluster. Our objective is similar. We are operating in Niger Delta. Again, you see the development now in the country is to the advantage of
MSMEs.
SME. The advantage of development corporations like Northeast Development Commission, like Niger Delta Development Commission, Southeast, Southwest Development Commission. They should also make all this credit available, and the players must form what we call intra partnership based on their objectives. My decisions is different from your own decisions. Then let's work together, get some credit, then we can know how to manage the credit within ourselves.
So true.
That's another way of looking at it. crowdfunding.
Yeah, so
I,
true,
I
Professor
hope
Joy.
I'm making sense to you.
Yes, so much sense. You've been able to inform us the importance of the PPP, and also how that banks should be able to educate us on financial, and also other measures with which we can work with these MSMEs. So now the last question I want to ask you because of time is: should credit scoring frameworks be revised to better reflect the realities of MSMEs?
What I will respond to that one directly.
Okay.
It depends. If you are a new player in that field, then use personal kind of credit history. That will be acceptable. But if you are a sustained MSME, why do you need to use credit history? Use transaction history. Somebody who has taken loan before, he has taken 1 million before, and he pay it, use it for the objective. Why do you now need credit history to decide giving further credit? Use transaction history. He has a record with you. Where I am for over a few decades now, if you are MSME with a bank, for example, with HSBC, which is now a global bank, and you've taken, maybe for example, you've taken 5,000 pounds before, British pounds before, and you discharge it responsibly. You use it for what you say you want to use it for. Meanwhile, they have monitoring way of doing that. But at the end of the day, you are successful in that. They will no longer look at a credit history as it may be. They will now be dealing with you based on transaction history. For example, if you are in real estate, you know there are some MSME in the real estate, and maybe they gave you money to buy a commercial property, and you discharge the loan responsibly within the period, no default, no whatever. If you want to take another loan for the same purpose, they no longer look at your credit history. They look at alternative credit history, which is we call transaction history. You understand what I'm saying? And they also look at the sustainability plan you have going forward. It's now not about your own credit or credit history, whatever. They look at the sustainability plan of the MSE. They are an MSME
MSMEs.
that has been there 5 years ago, doing well comparatively. If he is asking for a credit for 10 years, why troubling and going back to a bureaucratic credit history and asking for too much document? Now, what you'll be looking for, we need now to begin to exploit transaction history as an alternative to credit kind of history. We need to begin to look at sustainability plan of such player within that field. Again, what you need to look at again is the credibility, which stem from the transaction history, credibility, and what we can call reputation, organization reputations. Begin to have reputation. Is this player working with foundation, credible foundations? What are they saying? What are the feedback from those foundations, and what are the feedback even from the financing object? If it's by grants, then what is the feedback from the grant giver, the grantor? These are the things we begin to report. By doing that, we'll be able to sustain the institution, the sectors, and the sector will be able to sustain the destiny of people working there and whatever they are doing.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We were on to Professor Ojo Emmanuel, and he is the first Nigerian professor of cybersecurity and information management. And that's the much we can take on Business Morning today. Up next is Big Story. My name is Deborah Eze.
And I'm Destiny Momo. Keep watching Business Day TV. Good morning.